there. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Bridging the Geekdoms. I am your host, Robert Slavinsky, and with me today is nobody. I'm me. It's me, all by myself today. How is it going? Now, for those of you who are I can't talk today. For those of you who are new to the show, our setup is pretty simple here. The first 10-15 minutes of a show consist of a few hot topics from the past week, be it reactions, reviews, newsworthy items, and such. The rest of the show is then dedicated to a main topic for the week. This week, however, we're pretty much going to be Star Wars centric. I am going to talk about one non-Star Wars thing this week, from our hot topics to main discussions. It's all going to be Star Wars mostly. Now, our main topic is going to be, if you saw the feature image, it is Obi-Wan Kenobi. And we're going to be talking about what we know, the rumors, the hopes, the dreams of what this show is going to give us. So if you're watching, make sure you hit in the comments what your hopes and your excitement is for the Obi-Wan series, and we will talk about that on this episode. So how is it going, everybody? How's it going? It's been a week. It's been a week for sure. And for those of you who aren't aware, just the other day, actually yesterday it was, a trailer dropped for She-Hulk. And I got to tell you, I watched it, and it wasn't great. It wasn't very great. Let me pull this up here, and we're not going to watch it, but we'll take a look and see this thing here. Let me get rid of that. There we go. So, this trailer, we knew She-Hulk was coming. They did change the name to She-Hulk Attorney at Law, and the trailer, I mean, it gives us a little sneak peek at She-Hulk, as you can see. Let's see here. So you kind of see her everyday, life, everything like that. They show that this year they kind of talk about how it's going to be, they're making a branch of the law firm for superheroes specifically. I think that's going to be something, because I wouldn't be surprised if they talked about this from what happened with Spider-Man, but maybe not. Who knows? Because nobody's supposed to remember who Spider-Man was anyways. So who knows? Then we see some banner stuff here, which a lot of people are confused because, as you can see, his arm is fine, like completely fine. It's not even messed up a little bit here. But the last time we saw Banner was in Shang-Chi, and at the end, the mid-credit scene, and he was Banner. He wasn't Professor Hulk at all. So that begs the question. And in that, his arm was in a sling. So what happens? Like, does he figure out how to transform back and forth? I thought the whole part was about that, about him not being able to. I do like this little scene here. Obviously, you're going to have the humor for Marvel. And, he gets all excited. The Hulk is, yeah. No. I thought that was pretty funny. But the CGI is not great. When they show like that, just doesn't look good. I heard somebody say that it's the uncanny valley, because she looks so human, but yet different enough where she isn't human, and it kind of throws off and gives you that uncanny valley. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. I don't think the CGI looks all that great, but I guess we'll see. The one thing that I didn't like in this was, the Abomination. Cool, see him back. Is this little thing here? Like, look at that. Look how bad that looks. But she's doing the Tinder dating thing, and that I didn't like that. I was kind of not for me. But yeah, let us know your thoughts below on the She-Hulk trailer. I wasn't going to talk about it, but I decided, what the heck? Let's talk about it a little bit, because this is a podcast that talks about all the nerdy and geeky things in the world of pop culture. So that's what I wanted to do there. All right, so let's get to our first topic here. And we're going to talk about Taika Waititi, actually. So Vanity Fair this past week released an article, or multiple articles, discussing with Kathy Kennedy and a lot of people from the Star Wars and Lucasfilm universe. It was There's so many. I think there's like 5 or 6 articles, maybe even more. If you get a chance, and we're not going to go through each and every single one of them, but if you get a chance, make sure you read them because there's a lot of cool information in those articles. So definitely check those out. But we're going to cover a few of the ones that I thought were interesting. And the first one being is Taika Waititi's Star Wars film that was announced, I believe it was about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And Kathleen Kennedy said this: "We have a roadmap," Kennedy says. "Although Lucasfilm's big screen return is unlikely to follow the same relentless cadence as before, a movie from Jojo Rabbit's Taika Waititi and 1917 screenwriter Christy Wilson Cairns will likely arrive first, with Rogue Squadron from Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins further off. Is it true that Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige will produce a Star Wars film?" she's asked. "I would love to see I would love to see what movie he might come up with," Kennedy says. "But right now, no, there isn't anything specifically. And the trilogy from The Last Jedi's Rian Johnson that was announced 5 years ago," she's asked, "backburned. Ryan has been unbelievably busy with Knives Out and the deal that he made at Netflix for multiple films." So there was a lot of speculation on what the next movie was going to be. I have a suspicion that it was going to be Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron film, but things happened where it ended up not being that movie, which came next. So they're probably fast tracking Taika's film right now. You got to figure he's pretty much done or at the very, very end stages of post production with Thor: Love and Thunder. That gives him about a year and a half to get a film made because their first scheduled movie is for December 2023. So that gives him about a year and a half at this point to buckle down and get a movie out. And my guess is they're further along than they're letting on in this Vanity Fair article. I would not be surprised if at Celebration in just 10 days away, 8 days away, whatever it is, that they announce exactly what the movie is going to be all about. Maybe a title, even. I would not be shocked about that. I think with Taika, he's been real excited to get this movie going. I'm not too enthused about him doing a Star Wars movie just because I don't really like what he did with the Thor film that he did that's released already. I haven't seen Love and Thunder yet. But with the exception of that, I've loved some of his other work. So I got to say, I'm not overly excited, but my interest is piqued. I am interested to see what he's going to bring to the Star Wars universe for sure. Now, with that, there was a lot of other information that we got with Lucasfilm, Star Wars, and Disney Plus even. And one of the cool things is, we kind of have an idea of when these shows on Disney Plus are going to be coming out. Now, we know Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to be premiering May 27th. Bad Batch Season 2 is rumored to be early July, but in the article, they don't even really mention Bad Batch, which is kind of shocking to me. Andor will be released late summer. The Mandalorian Season 3 is shooting for a late 2022 or early 2023 release. Ahsoka looks to be out early to mid 2023, with the Acolyte being a little more ways off, most likely mid 2023 or late 2023. So we kind of have an idea now of what is coming from Star Wars, which I think is absolutely amazing because we've all been wondering, like, when are we going to get these things on Disney Plus? Like, I've been dying to know what's coming and when it's coming. So now seeing kind of like a game plan really, really excites me for sure. Again, Obi-Wan is my most anticipated anything this year, so I cannot wait for that. Just in a week's time now, essentially. We got Andor, which I haven't been too excited about until recently, whenever I started hearing about the potential that this show will have. But this has been something that's been in the works for, I think, like 3 or 4 years at this point. So my excitement has gone down a bit over the years, but I'm sure once we get closer to it, it's Star Wars. I'm going to be excited. And I'm going to want to see it. Mandalorian Season 3 can't come soon enough. I am a little disappointed on how they handled and how quickly they brought Grogu and Din back together, but I can get by that if Season 3 delivers. So I'm really hoping that it does deliver. And Ahsoka, that's probably my third most anticipated Star Wars anything right now. only because The Mandalorian is just so great. So that's why I'm really looking forward to Mandalorian season 3. If it wasn't for that, Ahsoka would be number 2. I love the character Ahsoka. I think Rosario Dawson does an amazing job as the character. So I cannot wait for that. So the outlook for the next year of Star Wars movie, or not even movies, shows, projects, just looks absolutely phenomenal. There is something for everyone, and they're finally starting to see, we are finally starting to see Lucasfilm really explore Star Wars, like explore the franchise like never before. And that's what I'm excited about. And I think if everything goes like it should go, we're in for quite a treat. 100%. Well, I cannot wait for this. All right. Next thing I want to talk about here, staying with the Disney Plus side, is something that's probably going to be a little more further out, maybe. Chase says, I still need to rewatch The Mandalorian and watch The Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, man, definitely rewatch Mandalorian. Book of Boba Fett was all right. I wouldn't say it was great. It has its moments. I think the 2 episodes with The Mandalorian were the best, but definitely check it out. Check it out, Chase. Let's see. So the next thing I want to talk about, again, sticking with Disney Plus, yeah, they're really banking on Disney Plus here. That it was revealed that Spider-Man No Way Home director Jon Watts is developing a Star Wars show. The show takes place during the post-Return of the Jedi reconstruction that follows the fall of the Empire, the same as The Mandalorian, but its plot remains a secret. It's created and executive produced by director Jon Watts and writer Chris Ford, who made Spider-Man, Homecoming, No Way Home, and Far From Home for Marvel. A casting notice has called for 4 children around the ages of 11 to 12 years old. Inside Lucasfilm, the show is being described as a galactic version of the classic Amblin coming-of-age adventure films of the 80s. Kind of think of like E.T., Gremlins, Goonies, Stand By Me, that kind of stuff. That is going to be incredible, if you ask me, because those Amblin films are very... when I think of Amblin films, I think of Spielberg, and you get that Spielberg-esque and Robert Zemeckis-esque of filmmaking that was in the 80s, and that just absolutely excites me. I think it could be absolutely phenomenal to get a show like this. Trooper Geo says, not really hyped for Kenobi after how poorly Book of Boba was handled. You know, Trooper, I get your hesitation with Obi-Wan after the Book of Boba Fett, but let's face it. I mean, The Mandalorian, the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian were phenomenal. It had its down moments, but when you sit back and think of The Mandalorian, you're going to remember the good times and the fun that show was. When you think of the Book of Boba Fett, yeah, sure, it wasn't great, but 1 out of 3 not being great because it wasn't terrible. If you're being honest, Book of Boba Fett wasn't terrible. It just wasn't what we were expecting. We know Boba Fett to be this menacing bounty hunter, and they took that away from him, and they do talk about that in Vanity Fair. I'm not going to cover it here, so definitely go find that article, but they took that away, and I think that was a big reason why. I think that's a big reason why a lot of us just were not happy with the Book of Boba Fett. Obi-Wan, when you have Ewan McGregor, who loves the character and loves Star Wars, Hayden Christensen coming back, who loves Star Wars, then you have Deborah Chow, who did a couple of the Mandalorian episodes that were phenomenal. I think this is a recipe for success and to be awesome. So I get the hesitation. I completely understand, but I hope you do watch it, and I hope you do enjoy it for sure. I know that the Disney era hasn't always been great when it comes to Star Wars, but I think when it comes to Disney Plus, you know, Bad Batch, Rebels, Clone Wars, season 7, they've had more hits than misses when it comes to their TV shows. But thanks for commenting, Trooper. Rebo Norton, another post Return of or Revenge of the Sith show. Man, why can't someone make an Old Republic show already? Okay, so another post Revenge of the Sith show. Sorry. So Rebo, I get you. I am with you. I want an Old Republic show, or a Knights of the Old Republic or something like that, as much as anybody does. Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite Star Wars character, so I can't sit there and say that I'm not excited for this show. And I think it's weird because I'm on another side of the spectrum here. A lot of people want to get away from the Skywalkers as much as possible. And I get that because we've had a lot of Skywalker stuff, but in the grand scheme of things, the Skywalkers are Star Wars. Yes, there's a wide galaxy and universe behind them that we can absolutely explore. I'm all for that. But to me, you can't get away from what made your franchise and what made it big. So when it comes to, I think that doing a show like this, Obi-Wan, which is connected to the Skywalkers, obviously, but then you're going to have a show like The Acolyte, which takes place 100 years before The Phantom Menace. So we're going to be getting that. Then we also have a show coming out with Jon Watts. That's going to be taking place after the fall of the Empire. I was just talking about that. And then we're also supposed to be getting Rogue Squadron movie, which takes place after Return of the Jedi. So I think they're going to be jumping all over the place here, which I'm perfectly content with, as long as they don't forget the Skywalkers. And we're actually going to get into a bit of that here in a minute, because there's more to touch on that from the article. Trooper Geo again says, if we got a clone trooper movie in the style of Black Hawk Down or Saving Private Ryan, I'd be all over that. I would too. I think that would be phenomenal. I would love for them to do, what was that video game called? Republic Commando. Take the Commandos and do, even if it's like a short, like 3 to 6 episode story on Disney Plus of just following troopers. And you don't even need to really bring Jedi into it. You can just have them be these, clone troopers going through the war. I think that would be absolutely phenomenal. That's a great idea. Hey, Disney, listen to this guy here. He's got some good ideas. But getting back to what I was saying just a second ago with Jon Watts, the code name for this project that he's working on is called Grammar Rodeo. And the interesting thing about that is it actually, that's a reference to a Simpsons episode, supposedly. So, and as I said, it is going to be taking place after Return of the Jedi during the fall of the Empire, which is roughly the same time as The Mandalorian. Does that mean we're going to get a crossover? I kind of don't think so. I think we're only going to see crossovers with these things, with The Mandalorian, if Filoni and Favreau are involved. And as of right now, it doesn't seem like either of them are involved with this specific thing here. All right, the next topic I want to cover. No more recasting classic characters. That has been going around social media ever since this article dropped the other day. And let's kind of talk about, or show what Kathy says here. Now, in the Vanity Fair article, Kathleen Kennedy says that they learned from their mistakes with Solo and have no intentions to recast legacy characters moving forward. That may have certainly been a learning moment, talking about Solo. Some people have talked about how, well, maybe Solo should have been a TV show. But even doing Solo as a TV show without Harrison Ford as Han Solo, it's the same thinking. Maybe I should have recognized this before. We would never make Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford. Having just finished the 5th movie, talking about the new Indiana Jones movie, I can tell you there wasn't a day I wasn't on set where I wasn't like, yes, this is Indiana Jones. I have a big problem with this. Alden Ehrenreich, first off, I think she did Alden dirty here. Not saying that she did it on purpose, but Alden, I thought, did a really good job playing Han Solo in the Solo film. Not to mention Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian. He was charming as all hell and did a fantastic, fantastic job as the character. I think she did a disservice to them. But not only that, she has now limited herself and all the creative minds within Lucasfilm and anybody who would want to come in and do a Lucasfilm Star Wars project. There's no reason why they can't recast these characters. I think they should have recasted Princess Leia in The Rise of Skywalker. I felt that to honor her legacy, they should have recasted to allow that character to flourish in that film like it was originally intended to. Not only that, but when they cast Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, yeah, I was a little skeptical, but I didn't hate the idea because I wanted to see adventures of these characters besides what we saw in the main trilogy. And J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson decided to, take that away from us in the sequel trilogy. It'd be nice to see these characters, because the characters are what matter. I get it. Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker. I get that. But there's no reason why someone like Sebastian Stan or anybody, I'm not even saying it has to be him, couldn't play that role as well. There's no reason for it. And personally, I think it would be really cool if they got Billy Lord to play a younger Princess Leia in a show or a movie or something like that, to kind of show some more of the background of what was going on, post Return of the Jedi, or even in between the films or something like that. I think that this was a really bad move by Kathy Kennedy to say something like this, because it limits them. It limits them from doing a lot after this part. Trooper Geo says, the problem I have with modern Disney is that they keep wanting to have the original actors in all the media that the characters feature in. For example, Sebastian Stan would have been a good cast. And you're exactly right. I just said that. There's no reason. Like, I get, first off, let me calm down here, because I get pretty passionate about this. The Sebastian Stan thing, I love. I love that idea. I think it's a great idea. But here's where things get a little interesting. Lucasfilm, one of my biggest complaints with the sequel trilogy was Lucasfilm did not push the bar technically. And that's what George Lucas always did with Star Wars. Star Wars was more than just films. It was him pushing the bar and doing technological advancements for film. And the sequels didn't do that at all. What they did in The Mandalorian with the deep fake or digital enhancing of the face to make a Mark Hamill looking character, I get that. And I'm on board with stuff like that. But if you're going to have extended scenes like what we had with Luke Skywalker in the Book of Boba Fett, to me, that should have been an actor cast in that role, because then at that point, you're not worried about all this technology and making sure it gets right. And people can then, in a slow amount of time, slowly get used to a new actor in that role. Again, it doesn't have to be Sebastian Stan. It could be anybody. But I agree. I think they need to rethink their stance there. Shame on Kathy Kennedy. You would think she's smarter than that, because, like I said, this was pretty much a slap in the face to Alden Ehrenreich, even if it wasn't intentional. She made it sound like he was the issue with that movie, and that was not the problem. I enjoyed Solo, but there's two things that really bogged that movie down and why it wasn't successful. First off, the cost. It cost $300 million to make that movie, because they had to change directors and reshoot nearly like 60% or more of the movie. Then not only that, you had the backlash from The Last Jedi, and fans just were not happy with what they got with The Last Jedi and were hesitant to go see Solo, which came out just 5.5 months later. So there's a few things there. It's not the casting. And I know, Kathy Kennedy, you're better than that. And shame on you. Really, I'm serious. Shame on you. There's no reason to act that way and say things like that when it comes to Star Wars. It goes back to what she said a few years back when she tried to say, we don't have a bunch of books and things to look through. We are making Star Wars as we go along. Like, Kathy, you have the entire expanded universe that you can pull from. All of it. It's like, does she not get Star Wars? And I know that she's not just the head of Star Wars. She's the head of Lucasfilm. I get that, but it's a little worrisome, because she's the one that says yes or no to the projects. And that's a little bit worrying to me. She just doesn't want to, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I want to know what you guys all think. Let me know in the comments what you think when it comes to recasting Star Wars legacy characters. I am all for it. I don't see a reason not to do it, but you got to do it right. And you can't just expect people to be all gung-ho for it immediately. So let me know in the comments below. And I guess it takes us to main topic. No. Oh, then not only that, the next thing Kathy Kennedy says, she's asked, how important is it to get outside the gravity of the Skywalker saga, moving beyond the characters we know? That's what she's asked. How vital is it to open up these new realms? So this is what she says. There we go. I think it is vital. Just staying within the construct of George's storytelling to keep chipping away at that, I think it would be wrong. It's our job to step away now, but still have a connection to the mythology that George created. That won't stop. But we're moving on from the Skywalker saga. That's what's taking a lot of time, discussion, and thought right now. Before I get into this, Rebo Norton. Kathy's creative decisions in injecting identity politics into Star Wars has left a sour taste in many people's mouths, I feel. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I'm going to say this, we're going to talk about Star Trek for a second here. Star Trek was known for that. Star Trek pushed all the progressive buttons back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. That's what Star Trek has done. Star Wars was never about pushing the progressive buttons and being at the forefront of all these identity politics and everything. That's not what Star Wars was. We all, as fans, understood like Star Wars, it's full of everything. Anything and everything is in Star Wars. You got different aliens and species and everything. The spectacle of Star Wars was the storytelling. The spectacle of Star Wars was the universe. It wasn't about pushing a narrative. It wasn't. And as hard as people want to sit there and try and say, well, look at the rebellion against the Empire. That's just like what happened with, the Nazis and this and that. No. It is a space fantasy. It is a space fantasy, yes, that has some realism built into it because of things that have happened in the past and in our world. But that's not what it was pushing. It's not that it was pushing all of these things when it comes to social politics or identity politics and such. So I agree, Rebo. I completely agree with you there. Trooper says, I agree with the decision to make more original Star Wars stories that don't follow the Skywalker saga, so long as they remain faithful to the pre-established lore and source material. And I'm with you on that, Trooper. I am. I'm definitely with you on that because I want to see this universe expanded. I don't want it to be stuck with just the Skywalkers, but I also don't want them to forget the Skywalkers because that whole saga is the basis of the franchise. Without that saga, without the Skywalkers, there is no Star Wars. So when you think about it, you can't sit there and just forget about it and move on from it. I think you have to really, really push to go in multiple directions. You can do Skywalker stuff here. You can do new original stories here. You can go Old Republic. You can go to the New Republic. You can go past the First Order. You can do all of that. And that's the beauty of Star Wars because we've already... What a big problem that a lot of franchises have is they started a movie and it moves forward and it just continuously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's take the Fast series, for instance. And let's say a series then tries to say, oh, we want to make a prequel now. And that makes things difficult. Sometimes they can't get the same audience to watch a prequel before that stuff. Even the Lord of the Rings stuff, that The Hobbit didn't do great, even though it was a book and everything like that. It didn't do great when it came to it. Now, Star Wars, on the other hand, they already have established in this franchise that you can start up here and then you can go back here and then you can go over here and then you can go back here. And fans have accepted that. And that is an advantage that they have with Star Wars that a lot of franchises don't have. So to say that, yes, they only need to focus on original content, I think is foolish by Kathy Kennedy. And I don't even think she really said that they have to focus solely on that. If we take a look at this, she goes, I think we'd be wrong. It's our job to step away now. And I think that's big right there that she says now, but still have a connection to the mythology that George created. That won't stop. But we are moving on from the Skywalker saga. That line there is what worries me a little bit because she says we are moving on from the Skywalker saga. I don't think that's the right thing to do because there's still a lot of stories to tell within the Skywalker saga. There really are. We have no idea. We don't have. And don't give me this stuff when it comes to books and things like that, because the books are not the same as the movies or the TV shows. I'm not a big reader. I'll read a book here and there. I will, but I'm not a huge reader. Neither are some of my friends. My kids aren't going to read some of these books that come out, and they love Star Wars. So when it comes down to it, they want to sit there and they want to see these things on screen, be it cartoon, animation, movies, television shows, whatever it is. That's how we want to watch it. So we have no knowledge of Luke Skywalker and what he was doing between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. Yeah, we have a little bit here and there. I read some of the comic books and stuff like that, but not a lot of people have that knowledge. And those are areas that can be explored, and that's Skywalker stuff. Even Darth Vader, when you look at Darth Vader, you got a lot of story between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope when it comes to Vader. I would love to see that explored, whether it's on Disney Plus or the big screen or something. I would love to see that, but they're not doing it, and that's kind of disappointing to me because, again, not that I don't want to see these original stories, but there's a lot when it comes to the Skywalkers I would like to see. We were robbed. We were robbed from seeing more adventures of Leia, Han, and Luke. We were robbed because they wanted to focus too much on these new characters. Excuse me. Rebo says, I think the whole point about being faithful to source material is a really important one. Faithfulness to source material makes or breaks a show. Couldn't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more. I mean, if you get away from the source material, then you're not staying true to what was created and what got fans into the franchise to begin with. So I agree. Wholeheartedly agree. Case in point being the Halo TV show, which is unanimously despised by practically every Halo fan because it's so unfaithful to the games and books. Make sure you come back to my channel tomorrow because I'm going to have my review of Halo up tomorrow. I'm a huge Halo fan as well, and the show was something. So I get what you're saying there. The show is definitely something for sure. But I gotta say, like, when I sit there and think of, okay, let's stay faithful to the lore. It's not just staying faithful to little aspects like how the force works and being in space and stuff like that. It's the overall and honoring what has come before it as well and remembering what brought that franchise there, which to me is the Skywalker Saga. So again, I think that a lot of people when they talk about that that kind of stuff, they think just solely on that core material there. Let's see. Trooper Geo says Jimmy Rings going around hitting up the Covenant spy had me rolling. Jimmy Rings, I like that. Oh man, yeah, that show was something else. Yeah, I mean, again, I have my review coming out tomorrow for that, so make sure you're on the lookout for that. But yeah, that show, it's something else. Definitely something else. All right, so let's move on to the main topic. For those of you who want to, talk about Skywalker Saga or anything like that, leave the comments below. I will respond to comments, and if I get enough comments, I might do another episode on this here because it's all really, really interesting stuff. If you ask me, for sure, a lot of stuff going on with Star Wars right now, and then we do have Celebration next week, which is I'm going to cover hopefully a good bit of that. Any big news that comes out, I'll definitely be covering that. But let's get into the main topic here, which is Obi-Wan Kenobi. All right, guys. So,
hello there.
Hello there. Hello there. All right. So Obi-Wan Kenobi. We have a behind-the-scenes featurette from the other day. See if I can find it here. And here it is. So we'll do this.
The first time I got to watch Star Wars, I was pretty blown away. Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi did some of the most amazing work. To play him as a younger man, I was really excited about it.
I love Ewan McGregor. I love the guy.
The first big experience for me was going to the studio where we shot episode 1. The props master brought up a big chest. He looked me in the eye and he opened
Pretty sure
it
I
up,
remember seeing this on
and I got to
some of the
choose
special
Obi-Wan
features of
Kenobi's
the prequels.
lightsaber.
This is my favorite one. That's the one. Yeah.
So that was a moment I'll never forget.
Throw in the comments what you thought of the prequels. How old were you when they came out? And what did you think about them?
Fight Darth Maul.
I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys.
That was an amazing thing to be part of. It was incredibly intricate. We were just going so fast. This is quite unlike any other filmmaking I've done.
I can't wait for
The
this
first time I
show.
got dressed up as Obi-Wan
I
again,
can't.
it was a special moment.
You can just hear the
Wonder of
love that he
Star
has
Wars
for
and the
this.
excitement of playing Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's really quite something.
I can't wait. Like this show is going to be phenomenal. I love it. I love it so much, guys. I cannot wait at all. All right, so let's talk more about Kenobi. All right. So what do we know? You know, right now there's not a lot that's known with this. Even the trailers that we've gotten, which are 2 trailers now, we got a teaser and a full-length trailer. They haven't given us a lot, really, at all. Let's see. All right. So real quick, Trooper Geo goes, I was 1 when Revenge of the Sith came out. I remember watching it with my grandfather in 2008 on DVD, and I was blown away. Man, you're making me feel old. I was 19 when Revenge of the Sith came out. Man, I feel old. But man, I always tell people this story. It was one of my favorite. It may have been my first midnight release that I went to was Revenge of the Sith. But I remember going to the theater with me and 2 of my buddies, and we were sitting there, and the crowd was just so excited at that theater for Revenge of the Sith. And at the time we thought it was the final Star Wars movie we would ever be getting. So we're all excited sitting there, and just a ridiculous moment. But somebody stood up and screamed Boba Fett. And then somebody else went Boba Fett. And then the entire crowd without hesitation went, where? It was phenomenal. Like it was one of my favorite moments, theater going moments ever. The movie then was great. It was phenomenal. And Trooper Gia says the prequels have a special place in my heart. And I love that. I love, for all the hate that the prequels get, obviously some of the best moments were Ewan McGregor playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, but the movies are really good. And, as much crap as I give The Phantom Menace, I'll still watch it. And some of my favorite memories now with Star Wars has been watching my kids experience Star Wars and get into Star Wars. And they've all loved the prequels, and even the sequels. They've loved the sequels as well, which, it's for kids, right? So I'm glad they like it. But yeah, it's definitely been quite a ride over the last few years, and really the last 20 years when you think about it. All right. So when it comes to Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi, there isn't a lot that we know. We've had a couple trailers, like I was saying, and besides the fact that we know that Obi-Wan Kenobi starts on Tatooine, he's watching over Luke. Uncle Owen's like, yeah, you're not going to get anywhere near Luke and train him anything after what you did to Anakin. And then we see some Jedi hunters, the Inquisitors, hunting down Jedi. But besides that, we don't know a whole lot when it comes to it, except for things like the cast. And where am I at here? The cast is right here. This is the known cast that we have for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obviously, Ewan McGregor is returning as Obi-Wan, Hayden Christensen coming back as Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, Joel Edgerton's coming back as Uncle Owen, and Bonnie Piesse, I think, or Peace, I don't know how to pronounce names, I'm terrible with names, is coming back as Aunt Beru. But then the newcomers, we got Moses Ingram playing Reva, who is the kind of the main Inquisitor that I think we're going to be following in this show. She is, let me see if I can find a picture of her. I thought I had one, but lack of lack of planning here. Here, we'll do this. This here. So she's the one in the middle here. That's Reva. And I'm pretty excited about her character. However, I am a little worried that they're going to kind of go the old trope where she's bad and then at the end she turns good. But I guess we'll wait and see. We're going to have to wait and see how that plays out when it comes to the show. Then we have Rupert Friend, who is playing the Grand Inquisitor, seen here. Now, the Grand Inquisitor was first introduced in the Rebels cartoon, and we do know the fate of him when it comes to that show, but this is before that show. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he is portrayed and how well he does here. I'm really excited to see what he can bring to this character. So I'm hoping that it pans out pretty well. I know that some people were kind of upset with the way it looked, or the way he looked. His head wasn't as elongated as it was in cartoon. You got to remember, you're not going to get the same thing that you have in a cartoon. You're just not going to get it. It'd be nice if you did, but you're just not always going to get that. Indira Varma is going to be playing an Imperial officer. O'Shea Jackson Jr., Ice Cube's son. We have no idea who he's playing. Sung Kang is going to be playing the fifth brother, which can be seen on the right side here. So you have Sung Kang, the fifth brother, and next to him you have Indira Varma, who is Tia, the Imperial officer. And then you also have Reva there as well. You have Simone Kessel, Bonnie Safdie, and then you have Kumail Nanjiani. And I'm excited because I think Kumail Nanjiani is going to play a Jedi on the run. And I think he's going to accidentally bring the Inquisitors to Tatooine. In the trailers, when they're talking about where is he, that kind of thing, I think they're talking about him and not Obi-Wan in those moments. And we got a couple comments here. Reba Norton, my brother got back from his deployment in Iraq to Iraq in 2005. We went to see Revenge of the Sith a few days after he got back. Best memory I have of 2005. That's great. I love hearing stuff like that. I'm a huge movie buff, and I've gone to so many movies in my lifetime, and I have some of the best experiences when I go with family or friends to films. My best friend growing up, he was deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq multiple times, and when he came back, I always wanted to do something fun with him, and he's a big movie buff also, so we would go see Star Wars, the new Star Wars movies and stuff like that. We loved it. So I totally get that, Rebo. That's great, and that's a memory that you're never going to lose for sure. Trooper Geo, hot take. Not a huge fan of Reva's design. I feel like she should have more armor plating on her legs since it looks more Inquisitor-like. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't hate her design, but I also it doesn't. She looks enough like an Inquisitor to me that it doesn't bother me. But I kind of see what you're saying here. Let me see does this picture show her legs? Yeah, it kind of shows her legs a little bit. I mean, if you kind of look here, you look at the fifth brother and Reva there. I mean, they're not too far off. You also got to remember that most of the Inquisitors, if not all of them, were former Jedi. So when it comes down to it, they are going to, they're going to want to be as comfortable as they can. And, they're not all going to want to be armored up. And honestly, when you think about it, has armor ever really mattered in Star Wars? I mean, come on. We all like to think it does, but it really doesn't. It really doesn't. Bringing this back up here. This is a great picture. They did some big photo shoot for Vanity Fair, and we got some great pictures with all these characters. We got Reva and Vader there, and closer look at them. We got Hayden Christensen practicing. He's got a cape on. That's pretty cool. We got Obi-Wan, Vader. Look at Obi-Wan here. Like it's crazy because he looks so much like Obi-Wan, and his I don't know, his getup is very Obi-Wan-esque, but it's also not. So I don't know. I guess it's just, living on Tatooine for however many years there would do that to you. All right. So we also have to talk about what's been rumored for the movie or not the movie, the show. What's been rumored for the show? And there's a few things that have been rumored, and honestly, I gotta say, um, one rumor is pretty much already been like not debunked. What's the word? Verified as happening. So it's a possible spoiler, but that's this first one here, which is Princess Leia. A young Princess Leia will be in the show and will have a decent chunk of screen time. That I've heard that a good portion of the show is going to revolve around her and Obi-Wan actually going to find Princess Leia, which is interesting to me. That is definitely interesting. So that's a rumor. I've heard that most of that is verified, but some of that is rumor. So possible spoiler on that. Another rumor is that we're going to get flashbacks with Anakin and Obi-Wan during the Clone Wars. And you have to figure, you bring Hayden Christensen back, you're not just going to be throwing him in the Darth Vader suit and that's it. I think we're going to see Anakin and Obi-Wan in at least one flashback during the Clone Wars. And I think that's going to be very important to kind of explore and build on who they are as a master and apprentice or brothers. And it's only going to help strengthen the impact of Revenge of the Sith, I bet. And then Palpatine will appear in this. That's another rumor. So we got 3 rumors here. I don't know. Let me know in the comments which one you're most looking forward to or hoping pans out of the rumors. You know, there's some other rumors such as Cal Kestis from the Jedi Fallen Order series or video game coming into here. There's been talk that we may get some of the characters from Rebels, even Satine from, you know, maybe in a flashback with Obi-Wan and Satine, who was his love interest during the Clone Wars from Mandalore. Sabine Wren, they're talking, like, there's a lot of rumors, but let me know what you think is the best one. Trooper goes, I'd like to see some flashbacks with Cody. We didn't get a sense of Obi-Wan's sadness over losing Cody in Revenge of the Sith. I feel that would be good here since we see how close they were in the Clone Wars. I bet you that's because there was an image going around probably 6-7 months ago of Tamora Morrison in kind of like a black robe. And the Book of Boba Fett was already done filming. And he was on the same set where Obi-Wan was being filmed. So a lot of people are figuring, oh, it's probably Tamora Morrison. He's probably going to be suiting up as a clone. And I think that's a safe bet. Whether it's going to be in a flashback or what, I think it's a safe bet to say we're going to see some kind of Tamora Morrison clone in Obi-Wan Kenobi, which, again, it's a rumor that I've heard as well. And obviously, like I said, we saw the image. I wonder if I can find that real quick. I am not seeing it. Of course, I tried to find it quickly, but I can't find it. Yeah, I think even on like the picture, man, I can't find it. You could see that he had white boots on underneath the robe that he was wearing. So that's a huge thing there too. Trooper Geo, a few Purge troopers would be cool to see in the show. I think we're going to get them in Andor. I do, because again, Andor takes place around this same time period, 10-ish year time period here. So I think we're going to see a lot of cool troopers in that. There's going to be a heavy focus on the Inquisitors here, I think, more than anything. I don't think we're going to see a lot of troopers if we see any. I'm sure we'll see some stormtroopers, obviously, but like any of the specialty troopers or anything like that, I don't think we're going to see here at all. Whether it comes to Clone War, from the Clone Wars or from the original trilogy, I don't think we're going to see anything. Like, not even like what were they? The Shadow Troopers or Death Troopers? What do they call them in Rogue One? I can't remember. The ones with the green, which I thought were really cool. We need to see more of them. Are those the Purge Troopers? Maybe they are. I don't know. There's so much Star Wars knowledge in here. I forget things sometimes. I'm sorry, everyone. So what do we hope to see in this? And, we already got Trooper Geo here saying, oh, he'd love to see Cody, which I agree. I think Cody popping up here would be cool. But I think that I would maybe an unpopular opinion, but I would love to see in a flashback with Anakin and Obi-Wan a young Ahsoka. I think that would be great. I think to have a young Ahsoka, and she doesn't even need to be like the main point of that scene, even if she's off in the distance and they're talking about Anakin's discussing with Obi-Wan what it's like to be a master now, and having that moment that would strengthen their bond. And in the distance, you see a young Ahsoka kind of doing some training or something like that. I think would be a phenomenal to kind of bring that all together. Because if you think about it, and this is something that I just said a little bit ago, when you talk about all these different versions of Star Wars, whether it's animation or books or comics, not everybody is seeing that stuff. So when we see Ahsoka in The Mandalorian and then in the Book of Boba Fett, those people who haven't watched Clone Wars or Rebels or anything like that have no really idea, no real idea of who Ahsoka is. So to see something in this show, a live action show like that, would add a layer for people to understand who don't watch the animation things. And I think that would be a cool idea. So that's something I hope we see. Again, it doesn't need to be a main focus. There doesn't need to be a main focus on Ahsoka in that scene. Just something in the distance I think would be really cool. Vader without the suit. And this is going to be an interesting one because, you know, we've already seen in the trailer where he's actually getting suited up. They're putting on his mechanical arms and putting on the chest plate, everything like that. But I want to see a good, like a disturbing image. I want to see it to the point where you look at him and you feel pain. I want us as viewers to feel the pain of Vader because that is a huge part of who he is. And we've never explored that. And I want to explore that in live action. I want us to feel the pain that he feels, not just mentally, but physically as well. Because according to lore, he is in constant pain being in that suit. And I think to see him out of the suit, to see how mangled and scarred and just all the horribleness that he has become would be something that could frighten young kids. And I'm all for that. I'm all for that. It'd frighten the kids a little bit. We got to make Vader menacing and disturbing at the same time. And with that, I want to see Vader battling his uncertainty as well. And I think that it would play really well with a Palpatine spin on it. Again, we've seen in the comics and in the books that Vader questions Palpatine and everything that has happened since Revenge of the Sith. And he questions and wonders, like, could things have gone differently? And he battles within himself on who he has become. And I want to see that in a way here. And I think that we will get that because there's going to be that connection. You have that connection with Obi-Wan. And when they meet face to face again, I think we're going to see that conflict within and his struggle with who he's become. And I think the line in Return of the Jedi that Vader says to Luke, Obi-Wan once thought as you do. And he's talking about sensing the good in Vader. And I think that we're going to get that here. I think Obi-Wan's going to sense the good in Vader. And he's going to try. And I think he's going to get close to pulling him, but there's going to be something that sets Vader off. And he's going to push away, similar to what he did in Rebels with Ahsoka, when Ahsoka and him met for the first time as Vader and Ahsoka. So that's what I got, guys. I want to hear your thoughts. What are you looking forward to, or what are you really hoping to see in this show? I think it's going to be phenomenal. I do. I think this show is going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait for Obi-Wan Kenobi. It is absolutely my most anticipated Star Wars thing ever. I mean, look at this. Just look at this. Ewan McGregor, not only is he a sexy man and a great actor, but he's my freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi. Look, nothing against Sir Alec Guinness. He's what introduced me to Obi-Wan Kenobi, but Ewan McGregor embodied the character and truly became Obi-Wan Kenobi. And, we're going to see this. We're going to see the battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin, or Vader, again. I know a lot of people were questioning, how's that going to happen? When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. How does that work here? And I think that I think they will make sure they explain it well enough for everybody. But let me know in the comments what you think. What are your thoughts on all of this? I can't wait. I can't wait for this show. Also, let me know in the comments what you think of everything that we covered from the Vanity Fair article. Reba Norton. What I think could work for the Vader and Kenobi fight is them fighting in dream sequences. Because if they actually met up, I feel that could detract from the rematch in A New Hope. Yes and no. Again, I think that they're going to do a good job in explaining what that means in A New Hope when he says, when I left you, I was but the learner, now I am the master. Like I just said, I think that the line in Return of the Jedi is more important here than the one from A New Hope. Because in Return of the Jedi, Obi-Wan once thought as you do. And he's talking about the good that's in Anakin and in Vader. Padme says that to Obi-Wan after he defeats Anakin. So between that point and Return of the Jedi, why would Vader or Anakin even think that Obi-Wan once thought as you do? So I think that line's more important. I think we're going to see that play out in this show. Like I said, I think that line's more important than the trainer master line in A New Hope. Again, I think they're going to address it, but it's going to be interesting. I don't think the show would work if they do these dreams, if they would do fighting in dream sequences. I don't think it'll work. And I think a lot of people would be upset because it would be almost like a slap in the face when they sit there and say, this is the rematch of the eternity of a lifetime or what have you. So that's my concern with it for sure. I think they have to deliver on the rematch. They have to. Oh man, anybody else got anything? Anybody else? Man, you guys, Trooper and Rebo, thank you so much for joining the show and commenting and talking with me here. That was great. I hope you guys come back and check out the show. We do a live show weekly. This week was absolutely Star Wars centric. Most of the time we talk about all pop culture things, but thank you so much for joining and watching the show and talking with us here. It's been absolutely a pleasure for me. So thank you so much for doing that. Again, tomorrow, it looks like both of you are Halo fans. So make sure tomorrow, hopefully early afternoon, mid-afternoon, I'll have my Halo finale episode of season 1 posted on my channel. So make sure you hit that little notification bell on here so you get notified when that pops up. And yeah, guys, make sure you check out. I have a bunch of other Star Wars content on here. I do a lot of stuff on this channel. I have a couple of co-hosts who jump on from time to time. Normally, it's not just me here. Normally, there's a couple of us. But yeah, everyone, thank you so much for watching, for commenting, all that jazz. It's been great. Let's see. Trooper Geo. I'd enjoy a look at the gangster groups on Tatooine. We saw some of that in Book of Boba. I don't know if they're going to have time to do that. I think it'd be cool to see it too. I just don't think that they'll have time to kind of address that or get into that there because there's a lot that they have to cover when it comes to Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Inquisitors and Darth Vader and, again, Kumail Nanjiani. I truly think he's going to be a Jedi on the run. I do. But guys, again, thank you guys so much. It's been great. I love the discussion. I love the comments. Thank you so much. But I'm going to get out of here. It's been a good time. So thank you also, all of you. Thank you so much for watching. And I will talk at all of you later.